So where are you from? Hi, well, what's your, you don't have to say your name, but where are you from?
I'm from New Mexico.
Yeah, how long you been there for?
I grew up there, so I was born and raised. It's
So-
been 21 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, alright.
Okay.
If you can just like read what you think was like interesting and like, yeah, just like read it out first and then like, say your opinion about it.
So this is on the question about different groups of Asians and how they're different.
Mm-hmm.
There's this really long comment, I guess, about like different Asians being like the same base person but with different spins, which I would like kind of agree, right? Because a lot of East Asian cultures are
Mm-hmm.
based around Chinese culture
Mhm.
because of like colonialism, but like the substantiation on that is like Koreans are pretty cliquish, Chinese are more open, and Vietnamese are all chill people. And that to me, especially like since it's in a subreddit that's supposed to be about like defying Western brainwashing and Western supremacism,
Mm-hmm.
is really just confusing about how like they're not even engaging in like cultural like aspects, but rather just about their own personal experience with like individuals in those communities and how it like is supposed to be representative of
Mhm.
what their ethnicities are. And so
Well, then, are you you think then is it true that you think? Well, based on what you just said, like, are you suggesting that it should be more like substantiated in terms of like investigating the culture itself rather than just like as individual, like one instance of an experience, to be able to make more of like a generalizing comment?
yeah, I mean I feel like this does the same thing as a lot of like white stereotypes do, in that
Mhm.
it just like labels entire groups of people with personal experience.
Mhm.
Yeah, whereas like there's no sociological backing on this. There's no
Mhm.
like cultural backing on this
Mhm.
of like different cultural values or cultural texts and like important themes that
Mhm.
resonate in different communities. It's just all about like they don't even say it, but I'm just assuming this. Yeah, it's coming from their own like contact with different types of Asians.
Well, then, if that's the case, are you suggesting that these kind of like ill-supported arguments online, proliferating itself, could be like a problem? In
I
term,
mean, yeah, like since especially with that subreddit, like I
can you
feel
tell me
like
more about the subreddit itself?
oh, it's called Eastern Sun Rising,
Mhm.
and it's the description is like the last space for East and Southeast Asian men and women to come together to defy Western brainwashing and Western supremacism.
Mhm.
And so it's like in this group that is painting itself as like re-envisioning what Asianness is,
Mhm.
that is really interesting that it like falls into the same like pitfalls as it has before. Uh, yeah.
So, do you think there's like a generalized pattern in terms of addressing the issues the same, and not being able to like avoid that pitfall, or do you think that's like an individual problem of like that person, like that commentator?
I mean, yes and no, right? Like it's definitely an individual problem, but like it's pretty characteristic of not only like the other comments that I've been reading on your Reddit posts, but
Mhm.
also like of subtle Asian traits of like
That Facebook group, right?
yeah, the
Mhm.
subtle Asian trait Facebook group of like there are just like broad strokes
Mhm.
applied to um, Asian ethnicities.
Mhm.
Like even uh, yeah, like even the comment above the one that I've been talking about,
Mhm.
it like goes into detail, right? So like East each East Asian, Southeast Asian ethnicity or nationality has its own unique cultural traits and traditions and conducts, but there are some overlapping similarities, like the Lunar New Year, Mid Autumn Festival, Confucian values,
Mhm.
rice culture, similar physical features, and so like there's definitely a way to, I mean, even just have this type of like discussion online
Mhm.
um, that doesn't rely on like personal experience
Mhm.
being like labeling people based on that.
Overgeneralization.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, it's interesting because I don't know. I guess when you're commenting online, it seems like the anonymity gives you a lot of authority. Of like this person says, I've been in contact with many different types of Asians, but like that could mean anything from like there was one Filipino at my school to like I've actually been engaging with like community centers and like groups of like cultural organizations, and I've been deeply involved with like Koreans and Chinese and Vietnamese and Indians, and like this is what they've told me. So there's like there's ambiguity there, right? There's room for authority because of the like medium, and so I don't know. It's strange.
Great. Is there any other like comments that you want to address?
Yeah, I mean, I guess, is it okay if I tie together two different ones?
Definitely.
Yeah. So the first one that I read that you showed me like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Is Asian American a separate identity on its own rather than being an American or an Asian? And the first one really pissed me off when I read it. Like, the Asian Americans do not have a cultural identity. Eating specific foods from a country is not cultural, or else white people would be Japanese. And I really took issue with that, mostly because I think a lot of what I've been seeing in the Asian American experience is a lot of it does revolve around food as being like an indicator of our culture, and of an experience, and of relationships. So whether that be like eating together with family, or like parents cutting up fruit for their children, right? There's like a relationship there with food. And so I found the answers on your other question about Asian food specifically really interesting.
That question was asked to the public after we had that discussion about food, right?
Right.
Yeah.
So the question you asked was, does eating Asian food contribute to the development of your Asian identity? And like a lot of them, I think actually it's the same commenter.
Oh wait, is it really?
Yeah, so the one that commented Asian Americans don't have a separate identity, on this one said, no, it does not, or else white people eating sushi would have an Asian identity.
Yeah.
Same commenter, same comment. I'm not going to go over that twice. But I found like a lot of them are talking about how like it's a doorway, so eating food isn't the only thing in a cultural identity, but it like does help, and it's a way of like learning more. So like knowing about what foods are eaten during festivals, or understanding the geography of place, and how that contributes to the type of food eaten there, and then learning the cultural meaning behind different types of meals.